Hi guys, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to another episode of Happy Chirp. Today I have with me Bihamaal, also known as Baemisaal, which is basically the meaning of her name. She is a multi-medium artist and also a content creator on some level, because she is using her art to create content, put a lot of art out there for the world to see. She has a very vibrant personality and a very vibrant approach to art as well. We are also talking about her personal journey. She feels very strongly about body positivity and also told us about body politics, and we got into that and it was very interesting. We have explored several themes that I know that you are going to enjoy and learn from. So without any more delay, here's Baemisaal. Assalamu alaikum, Bihamaal. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm good. Thank you for coming and making the time to do this with me. हमारी बीच में पहले light भी चली गई थी, then I made her wait. But yeah, now she's here. So I want to explore your journey with you, and I know that there's a lot of things that you feel strongly about and stand up for. So I wanted to get into those conversations with you because I feel like I want to put those thoughts that you have out there for a lot of people, right?
More than they already are.
Okay. So for my audience, So before we begin getting into those conversations, I want to get to know you a little. This is the first time we're meeting as well, yeah. So where are you from? Where were you born and raised?
So I've been in Lahore. I was raised here. I mean, I lived abroad for a bit, but born and raised in
Born and
Lahore.
raised here, yeah. So where did you get like your early education from? And
I am a grammarian, so I went to LDS, it brings all these sort of weird judgments from people, but that was my formative years,
yeah, like people stereotype LGS
I don't think I ever fit into that. I was always the outcast when I was younger, always the rebel. So uske baad then for my university I transferred thrice, which not a lot of people know actually. I switched my degree thrice as well, but like finally landed up at BNU, which I'm full of praises for.
Okay. And but growing up, what was it that you wanted to be? This
is going to be so funny because I actually wanted to either be an astronaut or not a scientist, a surgeon. But I realized that there's a lot of learning, a lot of memorizing, a lot of math, and I was like, I don't think I can do this.
And now you're like a full-blown artist. So from it's like such hardcore science to being so a hardcore artist.
I feel like there's always been like two people though. I mean, there's always there's this complete nerd and geek, and then there's this I wanna do all of these artsy things, and both my parents were artists, so I think maybe that's where that comes from. Yeah.
And you said that you switched your degree twice. What's the story behind that?
Oh God. So I was studying film abroad, and it was something that I really liked.
Abroad where?
Dubai mein.
Okay.
And then I realized, I'm not the best at this. So I have this weird, I think it's the OCD, I think it's the perfectionist thing that comes in, because I'm like, if I'm not like good at it, then I don't want to do it. Which is really bad. I don't think you should, go for things just because you have to be the best at it. But I learned that very later in life. So then I came back, and then...
but that was something you really wanted to do at that time?
I did, yeah, because like film, videography and everything has been something that I've always been into, creative work, visual. I think visual art has always been something that I'm like super into. And then I went into psychology and sociology, which was another passion. And then I realized...
Where was that?
This was here in Lahore. I was in FC.
Okay.
Worst experience of my life. But let's not get into it.
Okay.
But then I finally went to BNU, and that was a game changer. I finally felt like, I belong.
Okay.
This is what I've been, So I graduated in liberal arts and social sciences.
Liberal arts and social sciences. How was your experience at BNU? What was so good about that
I think
space?
It's a unique experience, I will definitely say, because I have friends that did not have a great time. But for me, I think I met a lot of like-minded people, which was very rare for me. And then I came I was coming Bahir se as well, so I was just like, oh man, I have to go back into this culture that I just escaped from. But then I realized, no, there was like this sort of subculture sort of thing where people were, really progressive. And I would actually commend my teachers for this, and I absolutely love them, and I feel like they changed my life. And I don't, like, I would repeat that experience. That's how much they had that impact on me.
Yeah. And so in all of your career decisions and like changing your line,
many times.
no, and that's I think that's brave, okay, because it takes I've said this on the podcast before as well, that it's not easy to sort of go back on what you think like you've committed to, right? And then admit to yourself that you made the wrong decision at first, and then do it like outright as well. Do something else. And because there's a lot of pressure of you're gonna get behind in the rat race, or like, what are you doing with your life? So did you at any point in all of this feel like this, when you were switching, or was it something that came easy to you?
I don't know what it is, but I feel like I have almost like a very short attention span, and I feel like I'm somebody who likes having a lot of skills and a lot of things that I can do, but then uska ye hota hai ki once I feel like in my head I've done what I wanted to do, then I'm like, let's move on. Which I think, because all my elders would be like, ek cheez pakdo aur usko chala ke rakho, but for me I was like, no, but I want to be able to do so many different things. And now, like, for the younger generation, or if I have like a younger cousin or sibling, I'd always tell them, I'm like, no, just try everything out, because you never know what you might succeed at. You might succeed at many things. But it's happened many times where I've, like, for my small business, for example, I remember it became, alhamdulillah, but very successful, and then I got so overwhelmed, and I was the only one handling everything.
Is this the jewelry one?
This is the jewelry one.
Yeah, it was
and
really
then
nice.
I fully panicked, and then I was like, oh, I can't do this, so I just stepped back, which is I need to work on that. I need to manage that better, but that does happen to me a lot. I take on a lot on my plate, and then I
feel you. Yeah. But I think I understand, maybe you need to work on that, like you said. You need to stick through something, but I also feel that a lot of times people stick through stuff that doesn't really serve them anymore also.
Absolutely.
So it's not always a healthy thing to do, to not give up.
I agree.
Like, you should know when, this is something that I don't think I want to do anymore. But obviously, if it's something that you want to do, and your maybe your anxieties or your emotions are getting the best of you, so it's
healthy as well to take a break. I guess.
And it's not so black and white, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really depends on a lot of things.
Nothing is.
Essentially, so when you graduated from BNU, were you doing your small businesses at that time, sath? When did these things come up, like the jewelry business? When did all that?
I think this was during while I was at BNU, or I actually don't remember the timeline.
Okay.
But I do remember a lot of things shifted in 2020 for a lot of people, including myself, because you always have this plan in your life, right? Like, oh, acha maine ye karna hai, but then life is just like, hey, I have another sort of plan for you. And that's exactly what happened, because when I was giving my final year thesis, my mom was diagnosed with stage 2, and it was just like everything, the worst thing that you can ever imagine happening is now happening, and you're like, okay, now I have to deal with this. And I'm an only child, so thank God I had like my family support and everything, and I know.
Wait, you're an only child?
I am an only child.
Okay.
So it was a lot. And uske baad, because I planned on, chalo, I'll apply for my master's because I want to go all the way up to my PhD and get into that finally. But that sort of was like a step back. But I also feel like I needed that step back in a weird way, because I think you mentioned as well, like the rat race of it, the sort of grind of it. I don't really believe in that. I don't feel like you have to constantly like be on all the time. I feel like human beings need time to just rest and deal with life, So I feel like that's what it was for me. And so, a lot of things changed in that year.
Yeah. Can you talk a bit about this time where your mother was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about how that was for you? I'd add the fact that she's a single mother, right? So it was just you and her.
Yeah, I mean, my family was there for sure,
of course,
100%. Because we lived in a joint family as well, so we had that support. Alhamdulillah, honestly, I can't ever thank them enough for that. But I mean, it took a toll. I think I've blocked out most of it because I don't think I've ever experienced something like that, and I wish nobody ever has to. And unless you go through it, you don't actually know what it's like, especially if it's a parent or somebody you love, or you know, because it's just it's the most helpless sort of thing. But she's a badass, I will say, because like mashallah, alhamdulillah, you can't really tell, oh, this woman's been through something like this, you know. But I think for her and me both, I felt like just that year and a half like aged me, as it did her, obviously. But for me, I felt like, oh, I just grew up.
Yeah.
I really just grew up, you know? Like things you have, like, choti cheezein leke zindagi mein chal. I was like, oh, none of this matters really. This is not even the point of this. I need to, it was a lot.
Yeah, I think experiences like this really help you realize things like how irrelevant and unimportant and unnecessary so many things in your life are. And it's not just that they're unnecessary or irrelevant, but just the amount of mental attention you give those things and how unimportant it was to do that, and make a big deal out of them in your head.
And how fully focused you are and how much energy you give to these things, which really in the grander scheme of things
they don't matter. So and I understand that because because two themes are similar for me. My mom, single mom, and my father, he passed away from cancer.
I'm so sorry.
So I know what that feels like to have your parent go through that, and then obviously I suffered through the loss as well. But so I know. So my mom is kind of like that kind of mom, that woman as well. Because she's done it. So
most women are, I think, very underappreciated.
So I want to talk to you about that as well. So as the child of being a single mother and single parenting, what are some of your thoughts on?
This is a really fun thing for me to talk about or even think about, because that's all I've ever known. And
I'm sorry, was your mom a single mother because your parents got divorced?
They fully got divorced.
Okay.
Fully supportive of that too.
Okay.
Thank God they did. But I mean, for me, growing up, when I was younger, it was a lot of like, because उस टाइम अभी भी नहीं होता बात उसके बारे में, but तब तो होती नहीं थी ना कि अच्छा this is a thing. And so there was a lot of stigma when I was younger, especially. I felt it more because people, literally kids would be like, oh, we're not supposed to talk to you because our parents said that. It was very that. And I remember, like, I don't even remember most of these memories until someone asked me. I was like, oh, ye to hua. But I didn't feel it much.
How old were you when your parents got divorced?
I was before, like, I was even 5 or 4.
Okay, so quite young. Yeah.
Very, very young. So thank God, I think I'm sure there were unresolved issues or whatever, but I went to therapy for it. I'm good now. But like, it's just, I never really, maybe shayad bachpan mein feel hota hoga ki, oh, I don't have a dad because everyone does. But then when I really became a bit more aware, and I was like, oh, I really don't need one.
Okay.
Because my mom has literally been both. I don't see it any other, and I think it's really interesting for me because when a lot of people sort of pressurize you into like gender roles, for example, and I'm like, but that's really weird because I didn't grow up that way. Like all the things that men are supposed to do around the house, my mom was doing. Like she can fix a tire, she can fix a bulb, she can do all of it, all the heavy lifting as well. So I was like, it's very normal for me to see women do these things. So so what's normal for you is very different from what's normal
for a lot of people.
And so I think that's also another reason I felt very like an outcast, because people didn't get that. And
so you mentioned outcast twice, right? Yes. What do you think are some of the factors that made people think that? I mean, I understand that maybe being the daughter of a single mother or not having a father in your life contributed to that. But is that something that you felt made you an outcast?
Probably when I was very, very young,
Yeah.
like a kid, sure. But then it was more things. Like when I
Okay.
started growing older, because I feel like me being really close to my mom was a reason for people to bully me. I was bullied most of my childhood. So that was something that people would bring up as like a factor to sort of put me down for. And I was like, what? You know what I mean? And so it was a lot of things. It was, because I was a bit more quiet actually as a kid. I was very, very shy, not confident at all. But I was very, very into art and all of that. So that was something that I was always just sort of made to feel bad for. And since I went in all-girls school, I feel like this is the sad part. It disappoints me the most because it's women doing this too. But, it was stuff like, oh, you're not pretty enough and you're not smart enough. And I actually grew up thinking I was one of the dumbest people. I thought I was the most, like, I hate this word, but ugly people, because that's what I was told. And so I was like, yeah, sure, yeah. I fully believed that up until I was like in my 20s.
Okay, but what helped you change that?
This is a very... so I grew up with a lot of, negative body image, body dysmorphia, eating disorder, all of it. And I think it was weird because I had a really, really bad year, I think about 7 years ago. And in that year, I remember just kind of telling myself, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to feel these feelings anymore. And so I was like, I need to do this for myself. So I didn't tell anyone. I didn't discuss it with anyone. I just sort of started inhabiting, self-talk or actually what started, for me, this is a very important thing. My social media or who I'm following is very important.
Okay.
So I don't just follow people just because karna hai to karna hai. It's more about what the impact is for me because this is something that I'm watching and I know what's going into my brain. So I started basically unfollowing anybody that didn't actually look like me or was, promoting diet culture or that sort of very toxic thing that we have. And I started following all these women that look like me. And the worst part about that was that there weren't many in Pakistan that I could relate to. And that kind of broke my heart. And I think that's where Baemisaal was born out of, because I was like, oh, I want to do this. I want to be this person. And so that's, that's where it started, watching other women just be themselves in the bodies that they had and be healthy and do all of the things. And, so I was like, I can do that. And I think that really changed my mind. And at the same time, I think I was confident enough to also then fight back, which is something that I think women... one, aren't allowed to do, and also don't believe that they can do.
Yeah, and because of that, they kind of lack that courage to do that. Yeah, and I've seen you be consistently brave, right? Like you, in the way that you approach and fight back, and not just how bravely you show up on the internet all the time.
Oh, God.
Which I think... The fact that it takes courage to show up as you are, accept yourself the way that you are, it shouldn't have to take courage.
Oh my God, I couldn't agree more.
It should be accepted. It should be normal.
Absolutely. So very, very early on, I would have people text in and be like, oh my God, you're so brave. Wish I could be like that. The confidence is great on this. And it's not the compliment you think that is.
Okay, I want to understand that.
Because, so here's what it is.
Because I would probably say that to someone.
For sure.
So I want to... No.
I think what it is just like, I'm not brave for existing in my body. I'm just existing. I'm not brave for wearing the clothes that I wear. I'm just wearing them. You wouldn't say this to like a, slimmer person. So why is it brave when I do it?
Yeah.
It's that. So, I'm like, I wish I had this confidence. It's like, sure... it's almost just like, how is she like that, looking the way she does?
No, I get you. I get it. I totally get it.
Like, think about it. Just think about it.
Yeah, because the undertone has some form of... I get it. Yeah. I get the undertone. Yeah. So when someone says it to you, I feel it. Yeah.
It's like, तुम कितनी अच्छी लग रही हो इन बालों के साथ, या इस जोड़े के साथ कितनी अच्छी लग रही हो तुम. It's like, क्या मतलब? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that.
It's that thing. Yeah, that's a very, very interesting thing to point out. Right? People will not realize that.
People don't. And it's fine because I don't think that's the intention. They're not trying to like hurt you. But I feel like the more conversation I had about it, people are like, oh, because a lot of people would be like, but I didn't mean it in a bad way. I'm like, no, I know the intention wasn't bad. I'm not saying you're a bad person. People immediately demonize हो जाते हैं उसी वक्त, oh no. But I'm like,
defensive हो जाते हैं.
Sans. It's okay. We all do these things. We all learn. It's not like I was born with all of these things in my head. I had to learn as well. But when someone has like an honest conversation with you, I know you meant this, but this is how it's coming out, and maybe we can
Like
work
basically
on that.
I should be, and my representation of me should be as normal as anybody else. Yes.
Yeah.
So whatever confidence is taking somebody who's slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be the same.
Same rule applied here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying yes, we don't go through a lot of hardships in our life living in the bodies that we are, right? Because obviously आप अगर उस तरह देखो तो yes, systemically, yes, fat bodies are penalized more, they are demonized more, they're more sort of outcast. But जब आप इन चीज़ों के बारे में बात कर रहे हो तो then you're also trying to normalize that कि नहीं, this is normal, this is fine, this is okay, people like us exist and we can do whatever we want, it's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so I have a question. So I'm gonna ask you what two things mean to you. So first I'm gonna ask you what is body positivity. What is it? Right?
Okay.
What does it mean to you?
Okay. So I think my main focus is body politics, which not a lot of people understand,
Okay,
and I
body
understand
politics.
that because it's
Okay.
a very academic term, which it includes sort of anti-fat bias that you're looking into. You're looking into systemic differences between different bodies, sociological, economic, psychological, all of these things. So when you're studying something like that, you notice so many things that are happening around you, which are very, very normal. And so body positivity isn't something that I actually labeled myself as. Like, that's not something that I personally, because I think that's the common term used, so people are like, haan, yeah. So for me, I think I'm more towards body neutrality, which is the concept that your body is not what gives you value, right? It's your mind, it's your actions, it's what you do. Because आप किसी को एकदम से देख के नहीं कह सकते कि हाँ ये अच्छा बंदा है या बुरा बंदा है, वो कुछ आपको करके दिखाएगा तो आप कहेंगे yeah, okay, ठीक, fine, right? So and I try to like tell this to the younger generation most of all, especially when you're growing up. I feel like you have a lot of negative body image, which is perpetuated by God knows how many industries at this point. But to tell them that your body is like sometimes the last thing that you need to look at when you're looking at your own value as a person. Right? So just because you feel bad about your body ek hafte, dusre hafte, that doesn't take away from the fact that you're important and whatever you feel is valid. Because wo phir aap plus minus karna shuru kar dete ho. Yeah, so that's what I think, that's my focus, where you should, my goal is that when you look at a person, the first thing you shouldn't notice about them, it shouldn't be their body. It just shouldn't.
It shouldn't. Yeah.
And I know it's a hard concept because this is how we're trained. The media has trained us to do this specifically. But I feel like I've unlearned it to the point where now if anybody's like discussing somebody's body in front of me, I'm like, I feel very uncomfortable right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is none of my business.
Yeah.
What they do with their body, that is none of my business.
Yeah. Like even in conversations around someone's body, and I also feel uncomfortable in situations where people are just talking about diet or weight or weight loss or weight gain, like I don't know why, but those conversations make me uncomfortable as well.
They should.
They should
make everybody uncomfortable.
हाँ कि मैं मोटी हो गई हूँ या मैं पतली हो गई हूँ या ये diet वो diet. Yeah.
It's very fashionable. And when I was studying this subject, particularly for my thesis as well, and then for my TED Talk, and I started noticing that when we're looking at gender roles, for example, women do this a lot.
Okay.
It's almost like a cultural bonding experience. Agar aap notice karo, like older women especially, I think in our generation and maybe going lower, they're a bit better about it. They're a bit more aware that this is not maybe something that we should. But you'll see aunties especially, when they sit down together, that's the first thing almost that they'll...
Yeah.
तुम कितना ये हो गई हो, या तुमने देखा उसको कितना हो गई, मैं कितना... It's just this. And that's how... And I'm like, what is that about? What is that? Because like you're saying, I'm unhappy with myself, she should be unhappy with herself, you must be unhappy with yourself. change that. What?
I'll tell you a story that recently just happened. So मेरे घर में we kept a high tea. So my mother-in-law, she called like all her friends and she did a high tea. Like she's like super social, right? And she's my mother-in-law, so she's a bit old now. So all her like the aunties are also oldish. No offense to any of the aunties. It shouldn't be an offense.
Yeah, not at all.
So so I was there. I was just meeting with everyone and socializing with everyone, and everybody met me nicely, and everybody was super nice to me and super nice to me. Just this one auntie, she was just sitting there. There was one auntie, and there's one auntie, right? She's just sitting there. She's not even like, she doesn't really even care. मतलब कि अच्छा मुझे ठीक से respond भी नहीं कर रही ज़्यादा. She's doing her thing. I'm not even thinking about her up until she calls me. Like हमारा काफ़ी बड़ा सा drawing room है. It's like a hall, तो बहुत बड़ा है. So I'm like on one end and she's like बेटा इधर आना. So she called me.
Oh, proper. She was just like.
एक होता है कि अच्छा हमारी कोई बात हो रही. She called me and I imagine I walked all the way to her. And you know what she said to me? बेटा आपको क्या हो गया? आपने बहुत gain कर लिया है.
Oh my god, I hate that song.
That's all she said to me.
Oh, that was it. That was just the introduction.
That was all she said to me the entire time, and she called me specifically all the way to say this to me.
किसको insecure करना है?
And I did catch her staring at me a couple of times. Beach mein, I don't know what was it. But then I was like, and I just said to her, "Ke, I'm just not the kind of person who can slap back. I'm just not.
That's
like
fine,
I'm just not,
okay,
So I just said to her कि, which was true, because I was like, auntie, अभी तो मैंने reduce किया है. Because that's all I said to her. So I was like, what are you talking about? And she's like, अच्छा नहीं पहले तो, and then it was becoming a whole discussion, and I was like, अच्छा auntie मैं जरा आई, because
bye auntie, bye.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Oh my god.
वो अलग बात है कि at this point it really doesn't bother me. Like I don't care. मतलब मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. But it wasn't the fact that I'm personally not getting offended or hurt by this, but it was absurd to me. I was just like, what is this, right?
Absolutely.
And also because they're aunties, old aunties, so I'm also just like, okay, another generation, like, whatever, they've done this, we are the ones who have to change this. And the only mental note I made was, don't become this. And make sure that in your generation you don't let this happen.
Absolutely.
That's where I will try to stop it. That's where maybe I will slap back as well. But it's fine, whatever.
I think that's fine. That's fine. I feel like we also expect a lot of people to like be on guard every time. Oh, why didn't you fight back? That's unfair.
No, that's not
because
fair.
Not everyone can do that, Matlab, just
and older people, like they've lived their life and I
mean, I guess I'm a little different in that way because in my house, this was a very common thing. Body shaming was just like, oh, kya haal hai tumhara? It was और कितनी बड़ी होगी? Let me tell you an exercise. It's so weird to me when people offer advice when I haven't even asked for it. But I've had several discussions with my nano. My nano's like 80 something now, and I'm just like, Nano, kyun? I don't get it. Like you're a big girl. Then there's nothing wrong with that. I know you've been told there's something wrong with that, but I don't. It's fine. Like आप जिंदगी जी ली है आपने. मतलब just but unko like it took a while. But now I think maybe out of love or whatever it is, she's backed off, which I think is an accomplishment on my part and her part, and I'll give that to her as well. Yeah, because it's not easy.
And I think that's true with like maybe your parents or your grandparents. You can have that conversation, and you should. But
many people can't though, and I understand that that's really difficult. Yeah, people live in very toxic sort of
different circumstances, toxic but like this is. It was
also, you can't fight with everyone.
You can't fight with them. You pick and choose, right?
You choose. You have to.
Yeah, and like I can't really, pick a fight with my mother-in-law's friend, but with somebody else, I can.
Bilkul.
Yeah. And also you have to see, do I need to pick this fight up right now or not?
Do I even have the capacity for it, man?
Yeah.
Like I feel like with me, because this is something that I'm vocal about, it's almost like every time there's like an incident, I am the one that's called lado. But it's like pheka jata hai ki chalo, do your thing. And I'm like, but I don't have the mental capacity for it. I'm a human being. I'm not a superhero. This is, when have I ever said that I'm
it's not
responsible for everyone?
Yeah, it's not your responsibility.
And that really took me years to accept.
Right.
Because I'm the sort of person, if I see someone in peril, I'm like, oh, I need to, because...
No, but you have the right to choose when you can do it. Because you can't just Yeah, because it has to be done logically, it has to be done properly, it has to be done responsibly, and you get to choose when you can do that. Yeah. No, I understand that because as a public figure as well, if there's something I need to talk about, I need to do it when I think in my own time, when I think I'm in the right space to be able to talk about something. You can't be reckless with it also.
This is such an important thing that you've pointed out as well, because I don't think that I'm a public figure. I've been told I'm a public figure. I'm like, with this many little audience that I have, I don't think so. But I've noticed that, the more I support, and I'm barely known, I feel like, I don't know. But I feel like even with that little sort of knownness, what's the word I would say? Exposure to people, I would say there's so much more responsibility that I didn't ask for. I'd never picked being what I am. Almost, I'm just not made for this. I'm not made for all the attention. I hate it. I really do. Like, again, honestly, if we go somewhere and there's a camera, I won't even like take a picture with my friends because I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. You know what I mean? But so in this sort of way, I think I was mentioning this to you earlier, but there's almost this responsibility, like you said, and there's almost this expectation, this sort of entitlement that people feel. And I don't understand that. Because, like, I walked in and I told you that I've been so anxious I didn't even go to sleep. Just because I think people can easily say something to you on the internet and they don't realize wo bhi insani hai at the end of the day. Right? So I feel like in this weird experience that I've had, like I said, I'm gonna keep saying it, I'm not that big of like a figure or something, but when I look at like celebrities and the way we use cancel culture as like this weapon now, I'm like, I don't, because maine itna sa experience kiya hoga, like 0.2% of what these people are going through. And I'm like, why do we do this? What are we doing? This is not normal. I don't think people are supposed to just, I don't get, like, because I have many, many opinions, right? But I'm not sharing all of that on a reel. I'm not commenting on random people's posts being like, well, I think that, I don't.
Yeah.
I will always be confused as to how and why people feel this way.
Yeah, because, and people don't realize that a lot of times that, that things that they call people out for or cancel them for, they do it because, they're a public figure. So in their heads, they've kind of dehumanized them. Okay, they're not as human as us, and they fail to see that a lot of these things they do themselves in their daily lives. That's the hypocrisy of it. But it's so easy to cancel you. Like, I chose to be online to talk about certain things. For whatever reason, could be anything. Maybe someone chose to be a public figure, not even to talk about something, just whatever, right? But it's the people that put you on a pedestal. It's the people that, put that expectation on you. You didn't ask for it.
Yeah.
Right? And you really don't know what all my opinions are or how I think or what I am.
Really, at the end of the day, you know this percent of me.
Yeah.
For a reason.
Yeah. So don't put me on a pedestal.
Don't.
Yeah, because you really don't know me. Right? And then for that one mistake, or that for one moment of vulnerability, or for that one, something that
could be anything.
Yeah. So painting someone with, a brush and thinking this is who they are, and then whenever they step out of that
aapka illusion
painting thoda sa, you were thinking, oh my God, that's not fair, because everybody's life is up and down. Their mental health is up and down.
Absolutely.
The way that they feel and think, their perception. लोगों का क्या होता है यार, even there are some people who go on such extremes कि एक moment मुल्ला तो अगले दिन बाहर, like, I'm just giving an example, right? That's what human beings are like. They go through phases, they go through things. So expecting them to be perfect their entire lives. And in cancel culture mein to sorry.
No, sorry. I'm completely agreeing with everything you're saying, because I feel like it's everything that I'm going through and I'm currently going through as well. Because, something that I had a very tough time with my audience specifically was that I know that I have a very curated sort of audience, which I'm really, notice that I don't say followers or fans, because I don't think that that's it. Anyway, but audience, because these people are people, right? So I'm taking them as like actual human beings.
Yeah.
I always told myself from the very beginning, especially with women, this is, again, a very gender-based thing, where उठाओगे और वही लोग आपको नीचे गिराएंगे.
बिल्कुल.
You know? So I was like, I don't trust it. At one point, it became so bad that I would get like really nice messages of people going, oh, you're good. I was like, you are going to switch in a heartbeat. And they did many, many times. And I was like, see, I can't even believe you guys.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Because they don't, a lot of the times that audience doesn't love you for who you really are in all of your different colors and ways. They love you for their perception of you that they've created. And like I said, as soon as you step out of that image or that perception, they flip. They switch.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's why what I've learned in my experience online is that as much as I love and appreciate people for the love that they give me, because I have to be honest, most of the time I get a lot of love and appreciation. So do you. I know that, yeah. But you can't take it too seriously.
You can't. Never.
Because they're also people. Just like you are. So they will also switch and flip and just like you will.
Yes.
Right? So, you can't get too attached to the idea that I'm so loved or appreciated or celebrated. Yeah.
I'm much too I have too much self-doubt to believe that in the first place, because I have a thing, you know, I had imposter syndrome for such a long time, because I was like, I've done nothing. And tab jab mujhe log kehte no, but you've helped me through this and this is, I was like, yeah, but you know, it's when I look at myself as a person, I'm just a person. Really, I'm not this great individual. I'm not. It's fine, whatever. जो आप एक अच्छाई कर लेते हो वो आप कर लेते हो. I'm not doing it for the sake of मुझे वापस अच्छाई मिलेगी. I'm just doing it because
I want to do it.
I just want to put it out into the world. It's okay if it doesn't even come back to me, because that's, you know, I didn't. It's a, you know, but the point that you said we're human beings and we're flawed. So when we're looking at somebody, why do we feel like we're judge and jury to tell them what's right and wrong? I'm like, okay, have we self-examined? Is everything in your life perfect? Did you drop straight from heaven? Like, show me, because if that, I'll learn. Like, but that's not true, you know. Though I don't know.
But that's where people are unable to see public figures with the same lens, ना. कि उनके भी flaws हैं, उनकी भी mistakes हैं, और cancel culture की तो एक जो बहुत ही flawed aspect था वो ये था कि लोगों की past में से चीज़ें निकाल के उनको उस चीज़ पर cancel करना, because that is just not fair, dude. Like, you not made mistakes in the past?
Exactly.
You've come a long way, and they've probably changed this about themselves already. So why are they being attacked for this? That's not fair.
I think this is something that I realized in my personal life, and then I realized यहाँ पे भी ये वही aspect play हो रहा है कि I think for example, like, people I've had bad experiences with in the past, right? Okay, some of them were crazy, but some of them weren't. Like, if they made a mistake, I don't think that I can still hold on to it 10 years from now. Because I feel like I've probably made those mistakes with many people, and they probably hate me now, which is fine, because at that time I probably did mess up, you know. But I'm not that person now. So I'm like, if I'm giving myself that grace to make a mistake and learn from it, which is my goal always, तो फिर आप as a viewer do that as well. Just be a bit more humane.
Yeah, like, if you can say, oh, you know, in high school I was a mean girl, if you can understand that, then you can understand that for other people as well. But वही बात है कि वो एक reflection आपके अपने लिए भी होनी चाहिए, और फिर again दूसरे के लिए apply करो कि यार they're probably not the same person anymore. Like, we at that time, in that moment, it didn't work out. I messed up, that person messed up. God knows उनके घर के क्या हालात थे, क्या था life में, right?
You know, mostly I think human beings are projecting anyway. It's sometimes not even about you. It's just something they're going through, and we take it very personally. But yeah, matlab, when I was younger, like, when I look at myself, I think age 14, I wouldn't be a fan of me. I was very different, very different. Like, I was a kid, I was learning, and also I would say things that are now become like, अच्छा ये नहीं बात करनी है, वो नहीं बात करनी, वो तब नहीं था, वो awareness नहीं थी. So this is the same sort of courtesy I think I lend to older people, older generations, because man, you grew up in a very different
different way. Yeah.
Yes, I do agree that as you're growing older, at least I do this for myself, you have to keep up. You have to keep up, because otherwise I will obsolete. And I think the day I would say, now I know everything, I'm wrong.
Yeah,
you will never know everything. जितना भी आप ज़िंदगी जी लो, आप नहीं, you know. So I'm like, there's always a new perspective, and just be open to learning. And that still happens with me, because the world is progressing like especially bahir, यहाँ तो हम फिर भी फंसे हैं ना, वहाँ तो, so to keep up with that, you have to have an open mind. And so I would still say कि to be open, but with a bit of leniency and grace, कि यार मैं भी perfect नहीं थी, I didn't come out of the womb being this woke. I had to learn, make my own mistakes and get here.
Yeah, and a lot of times, in fact, it's things that you've recently learned and accepted. You even go back on those.
Exactly.
Okay, I learned this and now I don't think so. I'm unlearning this thing. I don't think ये ठीक है, you know.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. You learn and you unlearn and you make mistakes and you
it's
learn.
An ongoing process, and that's okay.
Yeah, it's an ongoing process. So we need to be more. We need to. The problem is that we need to see ourselves as more human as well, because we judge ourselves a lot and hold a lot of shame for ourselves as well. और फिर उसी लेंस से हम दूसरों को भी देखते हैं.
बिल्कुल.
And जितना आपके अंदर forgiveness होगी to yourself, उतना ही आप दूसरों को भी वो दोगे.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah. So that's really, really important, I think.
Where it comes down to.
Okay, so I want to ask you, okay, how did you decide, or when did you come up with your jewelry brand, and why did you do it? Kiya kyun tha? And now you have something else as well, like a merch brand or something.
Yeah, I'm just trying to experiment with everything.
Yeah. So
no,
why?
because I paint, I illustrate, and then I also, love fashion. So I'm like, oh, let's make like clothes. That was really difficult because it's just so many nitty-gritty technical things, and I'm like, oh, I'm one person, I can't. But the jewelry business is very, very close to my heart, is because I love rings. I've always that's the one thing I can actually stand on myself for a longer period of time. And I wanted waterproof stuff because I am somebody who hates taking my jewelry off, right? ये भी अब मैंने ये
हर दफा हाथ धोने के लिए, मुंह धोने के लिए.
It's too much. It's too much. For years I didn't wear jewelry because I was like, I can't, वो सारे काले हो जाते हैं, and I can't like destroy them, But then I was like, okay, no, I want to do this. And also because, so my mom is an artist and she did jewelry design as well, and I think maybe she was the inspiration somewhere in there. But I just wanted to create like designs that I hadn't seen here and designs I wanted to wear, and then people really liked them, and I was like, okay, this is working. This is, and then I got really overwhelmed and shut it down.
Yeah, but it was really nice. Yeah,
I really do need to get back into it.
And okay, so
as well.
I previously said that I wanted to ask you two things. Just मैंने बोला कि what is your definition or meaning of body positivity. So I also want to understand that you call yourself an artist, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Who is an artist? What is art?
What is an art?
Yeah.
What is an art? What is an artist? And what is art? I feel like an artist is anybody who creates, right? Could be anything. I firmly believe that somebody doing a math equation is an artist because that is artistry. Somebody who can sing, that's an artist. Somebody who can draw is an artist. Somebody who can cook as well. That's art, because that's a skill, and that's, it opens up wonders and makes you feel things, and that's essentially what art is. For me, I feel like that is everything that I've always done. And so because I've not done one thing, and people love forgetting that, it's been a struggle to sort of, and I think it became worse when the whole social media thing started, because wo influencer, blogger and content creator, ये आपको 3 labels बस छापे जाते हैं.
What are you? This one or this one?
ये होगी ना. Even though I'm like नहीं artist, they're like तो आप painter हैं. That's not the only form of art, but but yeah, if that's where you're taking it, yes, I am a painter and I do illustrate and all of these things. So then look at that. But yeah, to me, that is what art is, and for me, I feel like I've actually tried to escape it as well, which is weird. I don't know why.
Okay.
But I think when I was growing older, I was told by many people around me, "Acha, ye ab karna chhod do. Focus on practical things. Get a real job. All of these things." And I was like, "Yeah, what? I don't." And then I did, and I was like, "Chalo, maybe they're right. Let me try that." I was really young, but it kept coming back to me in many, many ways. I was into photography, still am, videography, illustration, graphic designing, painting. Makeup is such a therapy.
I was like, when is she gonna say makeup? And then you said makeup.
Just completely, it's so weird. Like that, So doing all of these different things, I feel like that's my way of expressing myself. Anything that I'm going through, my medium will change, which is why I say multimedia artist, because every time I'll pick up something different. But it's all about just sort of expressing what I'm going through, and that's what an artist does. It's just able to sort of put it out there.
Yeah. Create and put
Release.
it out there. Yeah. Lovely. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now what is it that you are doing or your focus is on, or, you know, like you said, you're multimedia.
Yeah. Many
Is it content
things
creation? Is it makeup? What is it?
I think all of
it's happening. Yeah.
I think Abhi recently because I go the artist block thing is a very 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 like very important thing that artists go through, because I don't know what that is. You just completely,
I know
it becomes very stagnant. You're like, nothing is coming to your head. But recently I had this explosion of energy. I'm like, ooh. And then I got back into animating and illustrating, which was really fun. And this time I took like a different approach to it, because what I'm now trying to do, what I've always done, is sort of take my personal experiences or whatever I've learned and put them there. But this one's a bit even more personal, because it's literally a character that I created of myself, but also baby me. And I felt like I really owed that to myself to do that, because we talk about inner child healing and all of that, and I feel like that's so important. Everybody needs to do
saw
it.
that
little
illustration
comic.
you made. Yeah, it was really nice.
But it was just, I felt like these are feelings that everyone feels, everyone has, and so I just wanted to put that out there. But for me, I think the main goal, and I think every time I feel like quitting what I do, because that happens a lot when the pressure gets too much, I'm like, okay, why am I doing this? One, I'm doing this for myself and solely for myself. If you're on the journey with me, great, right? If you don't want to be, that's fine too, leave. But specifically, it's just for when I was a kid, I wanted someone like me, or I wanted to be this person, and now I feel like younger me would be proud of me. So I'm like, well, then I owe it to you to heal whatever you wanted healed, or show you that the things that you wanted to see or feel. So I think that's the goal now. I think I'm trying to really work on that.
And that's really nice. And you're using your art to do that for yourself. Yeah, and I think this is something that everybody needs to do.
Yeah, it's a tricky experience, but I get that it's very uneasy, because you have to go back into the traumas, you have to go back into the wounds.
You have to face it.
Yeah, even if and I think, alhamdulillah, thank God for therapy. I would literally just say everybody should go to therapy. That heals so many parts of me. I've almost forgotten so much of the darkness, but I have to, as an artist, you have to do this many times, where you have to sort of dig deep and bring all of that back, and just to sort of
channel it.
Yeah.
No, but I think that's what healing is, right? That you are able to dig back into it,
and then not
without letting it affect you that way, right? Without letting it affect your judgment right now, your state of mind right now, your behavior right now, and still able to feel those feelings and channel them in whatever way that you want to. Yeah. Like pehle to hota na ki it would just sort of, if you haven't healed from it, it would just the thought would break you for a moment.
Absolutely.
Right? And you would have to sort of build yourself up again.
Yeah. Over and over
and over. Yeah.
And you speak so well. It's such a pleasure having this conversation.
Thank you. So do you.
It's flowing. It's really, it's fun.
Thank you.
Really
That's so sweet of you. So do you. So you mentioned therapy a couple of times. Yeah. So I want to ask you, what is it that made you go into therapy? Not in the sense that, oh, what happened? It's about what
Tell
you.
me everything.
No. Like how did you sort of end up making this decision? Okay, I think I need therapy, or therapy is important, because I feel like a lot of people struggle to get to that point where they can do this for themselves.
I agree.
Yeah.
It wasn't pleasant, the reason why I went, but I've always been a huge supporter of therapy. Even when I was younger, I was like, there should be somebody to guide you through these things, like what, but when I was growing up, I think with me, and this happens to a lot of people, and I feel like this is very important to say, is that you're gonna have bad experiences with therapists. That shouldn't stop you from still trying to find the right one. Because I had 3 really bad experiences before I got to mine. Maya is an angel. I love her. I absolutely love her. God bless her. But before that, I had some really, really bad experiences. And so maybe thoda sa ho gayi thi ki, oh God, should I tell people? Should I talk about it? Because it's, it's such, you're opening your brain up. You're opening your heart up, and you're saying, here, take it. And, so aur yahan pe wo ek professionalism, confidentiality is a major problem in Pakistan. I've actually heard therapists literally tell me about their patients stuff, and I'm like, this is none of my business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason why I went was because of PTSD specifically, and my own sort of past. But it was so much that I became really dysfunctional. I couldn't hear certain words without having a panic attack.
Trigger.
Straight up. Oh my God. I was so sensitive at that time, which is fine. It's not a bad thing. But I feel like us time pe I was, because I was in BNU. This is actually, it's weird because we had, so thank God for Eamon Butcha, which is a wonderful teacher if you guys don't know. But she used to hold these story circles for us. And I never experienced something like that. Wobi University, man. Where everybody could share whatever they wanted to share. And by the end of it, everyone's bawling their eyes out. Boys and girls, both. And I remember it was time I said nothing because I didn't know how to talk about my trauma, because it was bachpan se leke, sort of a lot of stuff like that. So I couldn't really. And I remember going up to her after class and going, this happened to me. And she was like, have you ever talked to a therapist about it? And I was like, no. And she's like, you should. And I trusted her so much, and I was like, she's probably right. And then I did, and then I had bad experiences. But I owed it to myself to go because I really wanted to fix it. But you also have to realize that the fixing part is not necessary. It's just learning to accept and adapt and heal as much as you can, right? Nobody's supposed to be perfect by the end of it, like, oh, I'm a healed person put together. But it's just sort of learning to not let all of those things that you gave power to, all the dark things, all the bad things that have happened to you, to sort of take them and be like, well, this is just who I am, but that doesn't define me. For the longest time, those things very much defined me, which is why those words just clicked, and I was like, I can't be here. It fixed so many of my, like, family dynamics, like I became so much closer to people in my family that I never thought I would. And just learned who I was as a person or how I function, and then Hamara, I think, again, I'm going to bring up women because women have this people-pleasing thing that's instilled in them. You have to think about other people before you think of yourself. It's fine, cry about it later, and then you're shamed for crying as well. It's never enough. And so just realizing through that, this is what I need at this given moment. And if I'm not okay with it, I can say no, or I can move, and it's fine. It's okay. So I feel like I owe who I am as a person right now, not only to my mom, but specifically to therapy. I would not be here right now, very physically, very dark, but I wouldn't be here physically if it wasn't for therapy. So
it saved you.
It 100% saved me. 100% saved me.
Yeah. And I think that going to therapy itself is for somebody who is in a very dark place, deciding to go to therapy, that's a very big step towards healing itself. And then going through that process, are you still, is this something that is ongoing in your life, or do you take it when you think you need it?
I think I took it for like a year, maybe less than a year, but regularly. And then uske baad, because I felt more put together, I would say, so I sort of decreased the amount, and now I do go every now and then. I still go for a checkup, because something that I realized through therapy is and my therapist told me this, she's like, you don't always have to come in when you're having a bad day. You can just come in just to talk. And I was like, yeah, you're right, because like you don't realize, normally you're like, I'm fine, everything is fine, this is my, we always say this, but there's so many underlying things that are going on, and you don't realize them. And then when you actually do talk about them, you're like, oh, ye bhi ho raha, and this is bringing back that, and this, so it's, I feel like it should be a constant thing. You should just always have a checkup. It's almost like holding up a mirror. And I know that's very difficult, but I think that it can do wonders if you do decide to take that step.
And what do you think healing essentially means?
That's subjective, I think.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
It means very different things for many different people. For me, healing is just, I think, like I said, like not letting your mistakes or what people have done to you guide your actions and what you think about yourself. Healing isn't like, that's ab theek hu, main fit hai, kuch nahi hota. I still feel bad. I still see, I still feel sometimes those feelings, but it's not that I don't now just sit in my room and push the world away.
Say it.
Something that I had to learn as well was to ask for help. That's something I never knew how to do. I never knew how to like say, I need help. I just need, just like, oh, I need a hug or I need a friend. It was so tough. I don't know why, but it was. No, I do know why. We got into it.
Yeah, you've gotten into it.
Actually, yeah. But I think that's what it is. Learning yourself. And आप कह सकते हो कि नहीं अब मुझे पता है I'm very self-aware, I'm very introspective. But then when you have a professional, very important, because your friends are not your therapists, your parents are not your therapists, your partners are not your therapists, right?
And they shouldn't have to be, and they shouldn't be.
Oh my God, thank you. This is another thing, by the way, because I talk to my friends a lot about this.
Okay, you can talk about this, yeah.
Your partner is not supposed to be everything to you. They can't. They're one person, right? तो आप वो अपने दोस्त को रख लो, अपने खानदान को रख लो. There's a whole system. Don't make one person your everything. It's never gonna work out.
And it's not fair to them to have to be your, everything. Matlab, there's only so much energy you can suck out of a person for your benefit. Yeah. It's not fair.
You really felt that one. I agree.
Because this is something that I have unlearned na. To not have that expectation. It's not fair to the other really person. Because I don't know like why we grew up like this, or I grew up like this, where I felt like okay, जो मेरा partner है उसको मेरा सब कुछ अब fix कर देना, right? And your partners are not there to fix you. No. Yeah. So ये very important चीज़ है.
So that's what I feel like. Your therapist is the one that can, is non-biased for one. They don't know you personally, which is a good thing.
Yeah, the objectivity is essential.
Because a lot of people get freaked out. They're like, oh, it's a stranger. How will I talk to a stranger about my feelings? I'm like, sometimes that's better.
That's the best part.
Sometimes you need, like I don't need you to know my day-to-day, but, and so they're very objectively looking at you and saying, chalo, I can... not that you don't form a bond with your therapist as well. Of course you do, but like there's this sort of a wonderful, I would say, boundary, which is very important, especially when you're talking about your feelings. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I think when people find a good therapist, so that's everything then.
Really is, man. Really is.
Yeah. So you admitted it right now that after taking therapy and going through all that, you have gotten so much better, right? Like you said, it kind of saved you. And do you think that things that used to like trigger you, those triggers are much better now?
They're way more easier to deal with.
Okay.
I think. And again, this is something my therapist said. She's like, therapy isn't supposed to fix you. It's supposed to just make things easier for you to deal with. Because you're still going to run into bad situations, bad people, bad traumas as well. But, and you're not going to turn out कि हाँ मैंने अब इसको सी दिया और अभी fit रहेगा हमेशा. Those things can keep coming back. It's fine. That's normal. You're a human being. Right? So, because I remember like going back so many times and going, why am I feeling this way all over again? I thought we went through this. And she'd always just say, she's like, well, because you're a person. And that's how human beings work. It's okay.
Yeah. And it's a like, I think healing and self-awareness, it's a constant journey.
Absolutely.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. I feel like it's almost like the way I sort of think about it is कि अगर आप spirituality को भी देख रहे हो, ठीक है? तो या आप religion को देख लो, if you're religious, for example. So it's something that you have to sort of renew,
yeah, for sure,
constantly. It's not just how many ek dafa kar liya to ho gaya. So it's the sort of same belief system in my head ke it's just like your art. Like you have to keep practicing to get better at it or to experience something else. So just because aap ek dafa kar liya, and I remember having this conversation with my mom because like a while back I was like, I think you should go back into therapy, and she was just like, nahi maine kar liya. And I was like, then you haven't learned.
ऐसे नहीं होता, because ऐसे नहीं होता.
Yeah, I was like, ma, no, because like, as you're going older, you're gonna have different situations come in. And if you haven't healed those parts, those integral foundational parts of your own being, so they're gonna come back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
तो मतलब अगर मैं कहती हूँ हाँ अभी मैं fit हूँ, ठीक है, I figured out this one problem. Growing up, I can be faced with another problem that might bring that problem back. And then I'm going to be like, oh, I don't know anything. But it's just You just have to get back on track. It's just that.
Keep coming back on the track. Yeah. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. But I think people want like a one fixer upper, like a pill. I think that's why people rely more on medicine than they do on, you know, therapy. And meri bahut bahas hoti hai, especially in my family. Because I'm like, if your leg's hurting, you're gonna take a pill, right? But you're also gonna go to the physiotherapist to check if something... So your brain's hurting, don't just pop a pill. Go, like, talk about it.
Yeah. Get it fully fixed.
Yeah, get it fully fixed.
Yeah, I feel you. Yeah, that's true. But कभी वही बात है ना कि mental health को उस तरह देखा नहीं है. अब तो therapy okay, like... I think so many of the guests that come on my podcast are, you know, say they go to therapy or they've been to therapy. And it's very refreshing for me to see like, okay, people are doing it, people go for it.
Because it was such a stigma, I think.
Yeah.
Abhi bhi hai. And in a lot of, I feel like, jobs, especially if you're a man, it's worse for them. So I will,
100%.
Because uska wo hota hai ki acha tum mard nahi ho. You can't just keep it in and go... Yeah, they're human beings, right? So, usme wo hota hai, but I actually remember this weird conversation I had once in one of my comments, and I was talking about like a boundary being crossed with me, and I was like, you guys can't talk to me this way. Like, it was something very rude, and I was like, don't do that. And somebody went like, go to therapy. And I'm like, actually, this is where I learned that what you're doing is not okay.
And this is where I've learned to draw boundaries. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I think that healing and that like मुझे तो बस ये होता है कि जो लोग इतना easily online trigger हो जाते हैं और बोल देते हैं उनको सबसे ज़्यादा थेरेपी की ज़रूरत है कि आपको क्या हो गया कि एक unknown stranger ने कुछ कर दिया या उन्होंने कोई कपड़े पहन लिए या उन्होंने अपने बाल ऐसे बना लिए कि आपको इतना ट्रिगर कर दिया इस बात ने. तो मुझे आप ये बताएं कि थेरेपी की किसको जरूरत है यहाँ पे जो एक किसी के सर्टेन तरीके से बाल बनाने से ट्रिगर हो गया. So where is the problem? Is it with me or is it with you?
Yeah. No, I actually so I'm under fire a lot, and I feel like yesterday I was going through everything in my head, and I'm like, what is going on? People are so... I think people love hating. One, that's really like when I'm trying to like psychoanalyze these people, I'm like, you enjoy it. It's almost a sadistic thing. I don't know, but that's what I feel, because people, with me especially, the sort of stuff I get is just like, you're wrong. वो बच्चे नहीं होते जो वो, that's the feeling I get. कि आपको क्या मिल खुश fit हो अब, you're gonna have a good day knowing that you did this to me. That's great. You feel good about yourself. I don't know what that is.
And I think ये वही वाली बात है. It's just finding the wrong ways to project their own insecurities or their own feelings. So essentially it's whatever they're dealing with, and because I don't know what circumstances they are in or what their life is like, or they don't have people, or they don't have friends, or they don't have therapists or anyone to talk to, whatever could be. They will find that one thing on the internet that will be their outlet for all of that, you know. And like you said, they enjoy it, and I think that's why they enjoy it, because it's like a release.
It's a release. Yeah, I completely agree. You know, because जब मैं सोचती हूँ, I'm like, you know, most of a lot of trolls online are like middle-aged men, right? Like that's where it started, especially for women. And it's so I'm like, अच्छा फिर ये mentality क्या है? आपकी ये आ रही है कि आप यहाँ बैठे हुए हो और आप देख रहे हो और आप casually you're like, हाँ ये मेरे लिए, ये सब कुछ मेरे लिए है. Like it's all for me to consume. Right? So you become a product, which I'm always so scared of, because I'm like, I'm a human being, please stop, you know, like behind this is an actual person with feelings, with, you know. So उसमें I think जब आप for example, when you're going like add to cart कर रहे हो तो आप चीजें ही देख रहे होते हैं, they don't have like value. I feel like that's what you become to these people.
Yeah, because you're on a screen, so you're like a product, you're like an object.
You're right, you used the right word for it.
Dehumanizing, yeah. Like I'm a human. You're on a screen, so and you're famous, so you should have thick skin, and you're putting yourself out there.
Take all my problems.
Yeah. So this is your responsibility. You chose this life. So
oh my God, can we talk about this?
Yeah, for sure.
I did not choose this life. okay, it pays my bills and obviously it takes care of my family. So of course it's important. If I could, and I'm trying to do something else so that I don't have to come back to this, honestly. Like I love being Baemisaal and whatever, all of that. But at the end of the day, I am so tired of it as well. Like I'm not to say I'm not, you're being ungrateful, you have been given a, no, I know all of that. Good. Like I love that. And I try to do my best with it. But at the same time, I'm not somebody who wants this responsibility. I just don't. I never wanted it in the first place. I never wanted so many eyes on me. Like every time like I see a face of mine like on a billboard or like, I actually freak out. I'm like, oh God.
All this attention.
Oh, I hate that. Like people now know me. I don't like that. Some people love it and that's great. They're better at dealing with it as well. But for me, who's a very private person, I'm like, oh man, stop.
What's your sun sign?
Oh, can I get into that? I love this. I actually guess that I am.
Sun sign? Your sun sign?
Like my main.
I don't know. I think you're an Aquarius, maybe, or you're either Aquarius Sun or Aquarius Rising. I don't know.
Wow,
Is
really?
That true?
Okay, why did you say that though? I just want to know.
Because the thing with Aquarians is that usually they tend to feel like outcasts, made to feel like outcasts, and so they're always different.
Yeah.
And because of that difference, they get a lot of attention, but they hate attention. But they will also never be like the regular people. They will never want to be like everybody else. So never want to be like anybody else. Always want to be different, but don't like the attention.
Wow, you actually really described me, but surprisingly, I'm not.
You're
an
not?
Aquarius.
Okay.
To all the Aquarians out there, I feel like that's the best zodiac sign.
I'm an Aquarian.
Oh my God! I think that's why there's this. No, if I could change my sign, I would become an Aquarius straight up. I have always just loved Aquarians. I love the calm energy. They're like a bit more like, just I love that. I love that. They're very sensible in my mind. My sister's an Aquarius, so I'm just like, but no, I'm actually surprisingly I'm a Libra.
Oh my God, my favorite. Really? Yes, my best friend said. So maybe that's why, because you love Aquarians. Aquarians love Librans.
Love Aquarians.
Yeah. Librans are my favorite people. My best friends are Librans. I always say it. My dad was Libran. Like, I love Librans.
I've heard so many mixed responses to this because some people are like, oh God, and I'm like, why? What does that mean?
No, I love.
I feel like when I did my chart and everything, because I don't like 100% believe in these things, obviously, but I'm like, chalo, why not? And when I read upon it, I was like, there's some very like specific weird stuff. Like my chart literally said how you're gonna have lung problems. I'm asthmatic.
Yeah.
And I was like, how do you know?
No, I
So
do
weird.
feel like I think
you probably
I
Okay.
think they're like
No, sure,
super like I mean वही होता है कि I try to be careful about how much I get into it, but I know that there's something in there.
Certain
There's
things that
some
you can't-
reality to it. I mean, it's a full-blown thing that some people at some point came across and developed. So I don't think it's like something जो बिल्कुल ही बकवास है या true नहीं है. I know that there's some reality to it, because
perhaps.
sometimes like it's crazy.
If it was a fad, it would have died out. And I feel like this is almost like आपका जो back in the time immemorial, the astronomers used to do these things. So I'm like, good, maybe there's something there.
I think there's something there, but how obsessed you should be in
that how
I
much you're
think,
letting it sort of take over your mind.
Yeah, like you shouldn't be making your decisions based
According
on
to
your
that.
kundlis
Also,
and charts.
Horoscopes are a bit more problematic because they're very vague.
They're very vague,
But birth charts, and there's so many, like the Chinese do it differently, the Indians do it differently, and I'm like, kuch to hai. I don't know. I always say at the end of the day, I have no idea. I don't know everything. Could be true, could be no. I don't know. But I'm very curious, so I'm like,
I'm also curious as well. Like I do look at birth charts and stuff. So do you know your rising sign?
I do.
What's that?
I do know many. And I kind of agree
with it. Yeah.
So my sun is in Libra. Okay. My moon is in Scorpio, and my rising is Pisces. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember when the first time I read it, I was like, oh, I'm screwed. Like the universe was really like, here's the most sensitive little.
Sensitive. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh my God, this
little
is
crack
emotional.
part,
Like this is emotional.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. But it's
Yeah.
weird because I think maybe because of my socialization, because my mom's a Leo. So, and I have about 6 or 7 Leos in my family, and then 3 of my best friends are Leos. I'm like, what is this obsession? Go away. Enough.
I know.
I have such a love and hate relationship with them. But yeah, so usme na, I was just like, am I really like this person? But I think because my mom's very like, she's very logical. No, she's very emotional actually. She's very logical. So I think uske through I am pretty rational. But yeah, I think most of my actions or intentions always come out of emotion.
Emotions,
for a fact.
yeah.
But I think now I've learned to balance them. So now I'm like, अच्छा practically भी देखना है. ये नहीं कि बस जो दिल किया करो.
And when you're a Libran who weighs everything and pros and cons and analyzes, and then having a Pisces, it's being that emotional. Yeah.
But you know what it is?
Out.
I don't know what this is about, but I think a lot of people that I've spoken to who are into this, when they read my chart, I have a lot of Scorpio placements.
Energy? Okay.
A lot of Scorpio energy. And so I personally, when I read like about Scorpios, I relate more, which is weird.
Yeah.
They're not the best. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So I'm like, ooh. But I do see those in my. So I'm like, okay, I have to fix this. I don't want to be this way. But I think maybe because it's like a weirdly balanced chart. In my chart, there's no fire sign. None.
None.
But then people, when they meet me, I'm surprised you said Aquarius because people are like, tum Leo. They straight up go to Leo. I'm like, why is that? Leo or Aries? Because they're like, you have very like feisty,
no, you have
confident energy.
You have
I'm like,
fiery, but I think that's coming a bit from maybe the Scorpio energy because they.
I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because the fight that I have, right? Libras can't fight for shit. So they're very emotional. They're very like, oh, okay. I think. Scorpios are very like, okay. Very serious, very stern, very observant. So I feel like that definitely comes.
No, I think Scorpio people have a lot of like confidence, and maybe that's what you kind of have.
Confrontational energy.
Yeah, confrontational
Love to
energy.
tell people to sit down. But I think, but then when I was younger, I was very Libra because I was very shy. I never spoke up. I was very, But as I grew older, and they say this as well, कि आपके chart में आप जितना age करोगे तो आपकी ये part ज़्यादा highlight होना शुरू हो जाता है.
Yeah, so basically you are born as your sun sign. I don't know कि इसमें क्या true है. मैं बस बता रही हूँ कि मैंने क्या पढ़ा है कि what your sun sign is how you are born as. So that's the energy that you hold most.
Okay.
And then it's your rising that you are supposed to be
eventually
becoming like.
Wow, really?
I don't know what the truth, because like I said, I don't know the truth in this, but this is what so
There's
your
so
rising sign is very important.
Okay.
That's
really cool.
And that's the energy you're supposed to be building towards.
No way.
I don't know if it's
Pisces
true.
are emotional. That's shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm almost grateful for so much Scorpio in my chart because I'm like, I think you keep it balanced.
You needed it maybe for the balance.
I'm too like, but I feel like wo ek thoda sa standing up for myself, the confidence, all of that does come from that side where I'm like, don't cross me, don't.
Your moon sign is what?
Scorpio. So it's the emotional side. It's who you are inside, I think.
So it's imagine your moon sign being Pisces. क्या होगा आपके साथ?
रोल जाती है तो फिर fully रोना every day.
Right, so if your rising is Pisces and then your moon sign is Scorpio, I think that's helping you out.
Trying, I hope so. But Scorpios get like a really bad rep for this, and they're like, they're calculative, they're manipulative, they're observant, they can read people immediately, and I agree, and I'm like, on my bad days, I have been those in the past. I will 100% say yes. But again, therapy. So now I'm like, this is what I'll say. So even if you have qualities in you, that doesn't mean कि हाँ बस इसने इस chart ने ये कहा तो मैं हूँ ये. I personally believe you still have a choice. You can still change that. Just because it says you're indecisive doesn't mean you're... Libras always get this rap because they're very indecisive. I'm not an indecisive
You're not,
person.
Okay, because my Libra friends, I'm just like, dude...
Make up your mind.
Make up a decision.
Really?
Like, what's wrong with you? And I've
like
seen that in all of them. And I'm just like, what's your problem, dude? Just decide. Please.
Yeah, that's insane. Because people used to say this to me. Bachpan mein I was very like, oh my god, it was horrible. But 100%, I always know what I want. I always know what I, like it doesn't take. But I think that's a Scorpio then.
Yeah.
Scorpios
You
always know what they want.
moved.
They always want, yeah.
Moved.
But I like it.
Yeah.
It's a nice evolutionary sort of transformation that you're.
Yeah. So who knows the truth in this or how true it is? It's all just a big
Such
coincidence.
कुछ नहीं होता, but it's helping me understand parts of
Yeah, but
myself,
you know, when I read my husband's chart, I was like, oh my god! Like then I became a believer because it was
It was really, like,
insanely
on point?
true,
Oh,
on point. And
wow.
even he read it and he was like, "ये क्या हो रहा है? Like, ये क्या? Like, how does the universe know me
Yeah.
this much?" Yeah, it's like in his chart, it was like somebody looked at his entire life and then
And
wrote
said, you
the
know,
chart.
Wow.
It was that accurate. So I was like, ये थोड़ा insane है.
हाँ, कुछ तो है. कुछ तो है.
कुछ तो
No,
है.
a lot of boys in my life have always been like, oh, this isn't right. And I'm like, अच्छा चलो, don't believe it. Give it a shot.
Give it a shot.
And so every time I do this with them, then they start reading, and then they start reading, and then they start reading. They're like, oh, this is weird.
This
I'm
is
like,
weird.
See, there's something to. I can't explain it. I don't know what it is. I'm not an expert.
But the fact that I feel like that there is so much, sometimes I feel like there's some truth in it is what keeps me a bit away from it, because it's just like, okay, I don't want to like, you know, go crazy in this.
Exactly.
That's not good. Yeah. Just live life.
Exactly. When it's like predicting stuff like, हाँ, आपके future में ये भी हो सकता है, and I'm like, oh, no, we'll stop right there.
There's no need to there's no need to get into that. Yeah, we'll cross that bridge when it comes. वो वाली बात है. हाँ.
Yeah.
Okay, I enjoyed that. I wanted to end this on this lighter note with you.
Good.
That was
Love
fun.
that. Yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank you. Honestly, this has been such a wonderful, wonderful experience.
Yeah,
honestly.
likewise.
Yeah.
मुझे बहुत मजा आया talking to you. I learned from you so much.
I honestly learned from you as well, and but वही होता है ना, because you know you meet someone and you're like, अच्छा ठीक है फिर, but you're so mashallah grounded and so I would say mature. Mature is also very relative, but I feel like you really know what you're talking about. You've been through so much as well, and like I said, like मतलब मैं तो इतनी सी हूँ ना, but like I look at you and I'm like, wow, that amount of eyes on me, I would probably die. Like I don't know what I would do with that, but you've done it so well.
Thank you so much.
But
That's
yeah,
sweet.
no, it really
Thank
shows.
you.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Really.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Happy Chirp. I hope that you enjoyed it. I had so much fun as well, and then we talked about some really important things as well. There was so much insight, so much learning from me, and I know for sure there's so much that you can take from this podcast as well. Don't forget to leave your comments and thoughts. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you again next time. Allah Hafiz.